Welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Unlearn the Crap TV is more than just a show. It's a movement towards breaking free from the disempowering structures designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. It's about education, healing, and unlearning the detrimental beliefs that have been ingrained in society for generations. So now, please welcome the host of Unlearn the Crap TV, Kathy Baldwin.
Welcome to Unlearn the Crap TV. Today is going to be an emotional conversation. Today is immediately after the 2024 US election. And I don't want to be talking politics. I want to be talking about humanity, and I want to be talking about the future and where it is, regardless of where you are politically, where our power is. What do we need to unlearn? What do we need to bring to this time in our world? And today is my special guest. Her name is Kim Beam. Kim Beam is, amongst a lot of other things, an amazing human being, but she's also an author and an intuitive. And Kim and I met when I was on her podcast, and she did an intuitive reading for me. And what she did in that reading was read my soul. And so her and I, although we are both very emotional, I'm Canadian, she's American, we are all a part of this global world. And we are probably going to be emotional here today because there's a lot that's happening in our world. And so I welcome you to this conversation. Kim, thank you for being my guest on today's show.
Thank you for having me. This is such an honor.
Do you know, when you and I picked this date, I know you and I thought that we were going to be having a different conversation today.
Very different conversation.
Yeah.
Intuitively, I got that there weren't even be close margins. I got that she was going to win. I got that Idaho was going to turn blue.
Yeah, and so here lies the beauty of humanity when we're talking about where we are and intuition. And sometimes our intuition is not correct, but sometimes it's also not now.
Right.
And so my take on this, as a Canadian, I can't tell you how many times I woke up in the middle of the night to turn on my computer to see where the results were. And I just kept checking and hoping, because as a woman, as somebody who fights for empowerment and believes that our world is in transition,
Mm-hmm.
I talk all the time about how we live with universal laws, and I believed that this election was going to be the end of that pivotal of that pendulum, and then it was going to swing back the other way. Now that's probably part of my shoulds, and I'm in the process of unlearning my own shoulds. That is a theme that's coming up over and over again in my own family. How are you feeling about the timing of where we are and the fact that your intuition, someone who teaches on intuition, got something so emotional?
Yeah. I have a whole chapter in my book about what do you do when you get it wrong, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's actually wrong. So I'll tell a quick story. A number of years ago, I was starting to learn to channel, and I had a YouTube channel where I was channeling. And it was around the time we had President Trump as president, and he got COVID. And I fully saw a coffin in state. I saw a coffin in state. And I really thought that meant something. That didn't happen because We have him as a president, and he wasn't the coffin in state. And um, these, like, I saw it. And when it didn't happen then, I was like, well, and then today I was washing dishes, and they say that you get downloads while you're in water, while you're near water. And all of a sudden, I had the image of a coffin in state run through my head again. And I was like, I haven't thought of that in over 4 years. I was like, I don't know what timing is, right? I don't know what timing is. And that's the same thing I'm feeling now. I didn't know what the timing was back then. I don't know what the timing is now. I don't know. And maybe I like to think I'm wrong. My left brain takes over, which is my ego brain, my science brain, my logic brain, right? The second I make a mistake, it is the harshest critic on me. And it tells me I'm a F up, and that you have no idea what you're talking about, and you have no idea, and you have no right to give anybody intuitive words. And who do you think you are? Like, trusting this voice in your head that you think is your intuition, and you tell people shit all the time. And am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Safe place.
You tell people shit all the time. And how do you know you're right? Because here you are, clearly wrong. And yet, am I wrong? Is it not today? Is it not tomorrow? Just because my logic brain can't logic it out and doesn't know how to pull this part? I don't know. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm not. I just saw Idaho on the map as a blue state. That's what I saw.
And you know what? This is the humanness of what we're all going through. We're all going through, do we trust our intuition? What about the things that we think and feel? Who do we trust? Because there's a calling to come inward. There's a calling to learn to trust ourselves. And it's that calling that I really want to talk about today. So thank you so much for your vulnerability in that.
Yeah. Well, I know,
But
I know that I'm called to, like, share the light. And we're all called to share the light, right? And I know what happens when I cut off my intuition. I, like, cut off an entire part of myself.
yeah.
And so,
And how does that feel?
oh, I feel like okay, so have you ever, okay, I'm going to tell a story. I had a crush on a guy. I always have crushes on guys, but this guy, he he was not somebody I should be crushing on, and I was crushing on him. And I decided, because we worked together, I decided that I couldn't feel the crush for him, so I was going to stop crushing on him by cutting off my feelings, which meant I cut off all my feelings. Because you can't just turn off one, you got to turn them all off.
Yeah.
And when I cut off my intuition and I'm like, I'm not listening to that, I'm not paying attention to that, I'm not using that which is even bigger than me to make decisions in my life, I am lost, I am sad, I am overwhelmed, and I can't make a good decision. I can't make a decision quickly because I'm not relying on my entire body to make those decisions. I'm only relying on my brain. And as I already told you, my brain is really mean to me. My brain loves to tell me when I'm wrong and when I fuck up. So, no, I need my intuition to help me feel better in general.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is part of what I believe is happening right now. I believe our soul is calling us. It's calling us to challenge and unlearn that which is disempowering.
Yes.
And we're all facing it right now. Whether we're facing it with women's rights, I think about what's happening to the voices of women in where in Afghanistan, the sound of a woman's voice being heard outside of her home is considered illegal and immoral. Just her singing or speaking or even praying out loud. And then we have the call of humanity which is right now the rise of the feminine. It is the rise of the intuition. So you and I know that when we talk about the feminine, we're not talking about women.
No.
We're talking about intuition and compassion and imagination and creativity and the chaos that comes with that. The chaos that comes with all of these emotions.
It's not
And
chaos, though. In some way, it's quieting. By not allowing your artistic side, or you're not allowing your creative side or your intuitive side, you're cutting off your arm and your leg. And I would say living without an arm and a leg is chaotic. And so I
yeah,
would say we're actually, by inviting the feminine in, what we're actually inviting in is wholeness and completeness. That's what we're
yeah.
inviting.
So if there has to be destruction in the element of creation. Well, I've been having these conversations a lot with people about the birthing process, or even I'm a designer. So one of the things I love is homes and renovation and all of that. And there's a whole element of chaos and destruction that goes with that. And I can't help but wonder if what is happening, because this was not a squeak by election. This was a massive, massive collection of universal energy that brought this to a landslide. If that's part of the chaos that we're supposed to be experiencing.
There's a part of me, I'm going to be really honest, there's a part of me that's like, in Pennsylvania, even right now, there were a million, like I went and Googled it, there were a million mail-in ballots. I do not believe that they were able to process a million mail-in ballots yesterday. Right now, Kamala and Trump are 200,000 votes away from each other in Pennsylvania. Only 4 counties have actually declared their yes, they're for Trump. Everybody else is light pink or light blue on the Associated Press web page. They have not officially said they've taken care of all of the mail-in ballots. And so there is a part of me, small part of me, that's like, is it really over yet? Because not until every vote is counted am I going to say he absolutely won. Because it's not done until like every vote's counted and it's sealed. And so there's a part of me that has like this little glimmer of like ember underneath the smoking ashes that's like, but maybe yes.
But even if it's not, even if this is the reality,
Oh, this is a bad reality.
but why do we have to label it?
Oh,
Why
yeah,
do we
I
have
guess.
to label it bad? That's my point. Is why can't it be part of the chaos that is part of the good?
Hmm.
Are we being taught acceptance and rising up within the chaos?
Oh, absolutely going to rise up and absolutely going to find my light and absolutely going to shine my light despite the fact that, I mean, it's a living in fear versus not, but the fear reality is like plan B is going to leave the shelves. And like IVF may not be possible for people who are desperate for children, right? Like these are the things that are on the table. The things that are in Project 2025 that they want to enact, even though Trump says, I'm not involved with 2025. I don't believe that for a second. FEMA's gone. Watching for hurricanes is gone. Watching for natural disasters is gone. The things that are not involved in Project 2025, like caring about the environment, is gone. It's not in 2025. So if they enact that 700-page document, 900-page document, however big it is, it's huge. if they enact even a quarter of it, the light we have to shine is going to have to be extremely bright. But it makes me
And
think of
that
the light.
that's where I want to that's where I want us to focus in on, because I don't want this to be a
Oh
political
no, I agree
conversation.
with you 100%. And so it makes me think of the lights that are being shown in like the Ukraine, right? There are lights going off in Ukraine. There are people who are holding the light in Ukraine and holding Ukraine up. And whatever happens here, right? There will be people like me and other people like you who are gonna hold the light for us too.
And I think that's what we're being called to do. I think
Yeah.
we're all being called to shine our light brighter. And there's a lot happening in my own personal life, as well as the collective life, as well as my business life. And so many challenges have been coming to challenge my status quo. And even though I've done all of this work and I thought that I had come to a place, I realized that there was more. And so I wonder if even me and my own personal convictions of that I will stand in my truth, I will hold my boundaries, I will hold my value system, I became complacent. And was the world challenging me to say, hey, girl, it's time to rise up again and go to your next level? And I'm wondering if that's part of the collective of what we're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, today, to be honest, today just happens to be, like, how like you watch the movie. Okay, I have a couple thoughts. You know how like you you know how like you watch the movie about where they like lose the game and they all go into the locker room and they all slump over and their shoulders are down and their heads are between their knees and they're just like, I'm feeling it today. Like this was a rough one. But then they like come back, right? They like work at it and they figure out what the problem was and they revamp and they redo the thing. For me, today feels a lot like I'm in the locker room and I just lost the game. But it feels
Mm.
to me like it's not just like I didn't just lose a game, I lost the Super Bowl, right? Like I lost maybe the last time I'm ever going to play the game again. Like, like the senior in high school where this is the last time they're going to play the soccer game because they're going off to a college and they're not going to play soccer in college. And this is the last time they have a chance at it and they happen to lose that game. And so it has a more of a powerful punch because it just happens to be a little bit more of a heightened meaning to it. Today is the day where I'm feeling the blow. Like I'm feeling the punch. It doesn't mean I'm going to live in the punch. It just means I'm feeling it today.
And that is part of what I'm talking about is we have been taught some crap that we're not supposed to feel the pain, that bad things are not supposed to happen. And if they do, there's some dire consequence. And what if the pain, and what if the what we're going through is part of the process, which is what I really honestly believe.
I'm sure all of this is all part of the process, right? Like the fact that it's happening not just here in the US, but it's going on over in, there's the Israel issue and there's the Afghanistan, not the Afghanistan. Well, some Afghanistan things are going on, but because there's always something going on in Afghanistan. But the Ukraine thing,
Yeah.
right? Like there are two major hotspots right now in the world that the world is sort of like looking at but not looking at the same time, because if you look too close, right, like there's like sort of like a car accident where you're like you want to look but you don't know if you really want to, right, because it's a little messy and it's a little hard to look at. Like that's what's going on in Israel and the Ukraine right now. And we collectively have a choice of whether we look or not, but the people who live there don't have a choice. And so
And that's what I'm wondering, if that's what our message is right now. to
Yeah.
look in the darkness, to look at what the mirror is reflecting back on us, because that's been my personal message that's come through to me, is I've had a mirror showing up to me in my life. And the question is, where are my destructive patterns still alive in my life?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, because I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at where I am still giving my power away. Because you don't unlearn trauma overnight. And you
No.
don't have an epiphany and it all just becomes better. You
Oh,
know,
oh no, there are moments where that does happen. There are moments where you're like, oh, I've been a douche. I'm going to go apologize to 7 people and I'm going to go make amends and I will figure this out, right? Like there are moments where that happens.
but that's not patterns. And
Right.
I'm talking about ancestral archetypal patterns
Mhm.
that are at live here. I believe that I'm the change maker in my family, that the generations of disempowerment that have gone through my family, and it has taken this generation, and my entire family is shattered. And so I wonder,
I'm
I
sorry.
know that I'm part of that change,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
ancestral breaking and healing.
Yep.
But that means it's gonna friggin' hurt.
Yep.
And is that what we're experiencing right now collectively?
I I don't know if we're there yet. Because I'm going to be honest, the people who voted for him probably do not feel the way I feel right now. And
No,
so,
I've heard from people who are so excited.
yeah,
So
and
there's two extremes. We're still dealing with polarity.
we are still dealing with polarity. I had a podcast that I recorded just a couple of minutes ago. Well, a couple hours ago now, but like minutes in my head, right? It we recorded it this morning, and we were talking about how he and who he is and everything he represents and the people. It's a boil that needs to be lanced and then cleaned out, right? There is, and I talked about the fact that like the United States was built on two major lies. There are two major lies going on in the United States that we are built on. And the first one happens from New England with the colonial spirit. One, they came here for religious freedom and then they persecuted everybody who wasn't like them. So let's talk about that. The second lie that the United States was built on was a lie that's going on even now, where we see everywhere, which is hoe your own row. Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Never let them see you sweat. Just do it. Right? I call it the colonial spirit, where you have your bit of land and you go figure it out and you don't ask anybody for help. But that's a lie too, because you wouldn't get a barn raised if you didn't pull the community together to pull up a barn. And you wouldn't have women. Women came together all the time to solve problems and help each other and bake and cook. So, like, there's a massive lie right there that the entire top of the East Coast is built on. And we are still under, Nike has built an entire motto all over that lie. And so,
And that is one of the foundations of Unlearn the Crap, that
yes,
lie.
that lie that you have to do it yourself. The
Yeah.
other lie the East Coast was built on, which is the start of this nation. So let's just be honest, this entire nation was built on these two lies. The second lie this nation was built on is that you did it on the backs of somebody else. And you did not give them credit. You did not think of them as human. And you did not think of them as an individual with hopes and desires and dreams. You just took and took and took until they died. These are the two lies we are built on that need to be broken.
And I
Everyone
believe
is
that
equal is the truth, right? Everybody is equal, and we are collective, and we are in this together is the other truth. And the United States does not want to embrace that.
I believe that's part of this conversation, and we will be right back after this commercial to continue this emotional conversation.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBN Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
I know we're having a heavy conversation. And one of the things that we live in this world of universal laws is the law of polarity. And in that law of polarity, there are people who are feeling the devastation of the lost game like you are. And there are people feeling the elation of the touchdown and the score and the win. But I really want to focus in on the fact that with the rest of universal laws, that the energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted. And I want us to focus in as much as possible, because you are a teacher of intuition.
Yes.
And intuition is energy.
Yes.
And we are in a collective chaos.
Yes.
Globally,
yes.
We are seeing exponential change that is affecting our world. All of our systems are crumbling down around us. Is this new American government going to be the savior or the final straw? We don't know that yet. We don't know. So what do we know? In my belief, Kim, in every ounce of my fiber, I believe the call for humanity is stronger now than it has ever been.
Yes.
The call for us to go inward, because right now we are living in a world where 2% of the population holds 98% of the power and the wealth.
Yes.
And I believe that this call for our souls and our humanity are part of transferring that to the masses. Exactly what you were talking about the big lie. And so how do we use our intuition? We have our emotions. Our emotions are real, collectively, individually. And you and I both talk about how to use them on a scale to create our own empower. But let's talk about how we go inward and bring our intuition and our zone of genius out in the chaos that we're surrounded by.
Yeah. Um, so I am somebody who cannot start my day without sitting on a meditation cushion. I just like start my day on a meditation cushion, and I'm there for 30 minutes. And if I have a really good day, I'm there for an hour. And if I have a really yummy day, like just a really yummy, like an ice cream kind of day, right? And a day where, like, although I don't eat ice cream anymore, but like if I thought ice cream was good, it'd be like an ice cream day, right? Like it would be like I don't eat cheesecake, but if I did, it would be like a cheesecake day, right? Where you're just like, I would get 2 hours on the cushion because as as I said earlier today on my podcast, this is gonna sound a little nutty, Kathy. But you know that moment after climax and sex where like you're just a puddle on the bed and you're just, or if you're on the bed, but like let's hope you're on the bed and you're just a puddle and you're just a puddle and you're like, and you don't want to move and everything just feels like, it just feels like you're there and you're not there at the same time because it's just that moment of like total peace. For me, that's what the meditation cushion is, without the big bang before you get there, right?
And
It's
for me, no, I need to, because here we are in polarity.
yeah.
For me, that is torture. Sitting in meditation is torture. My brain is torturing me from the inside out, and every ounce of my being is screaming at me.
That used to be me. I used to be that. My brain did not shut up and I had a panic disorder and my brain just like yelled at me all the time and I didn't find meditation yummy. No, but now I
I
can't.
have discovered a meditation that is a tape, and it's by Maury Zelkovich, and he does these binary but sound waves and triliminals, and because he brings that chaos from both sides and the top and the sounds and the voices, that's the only time my brain can relax.
You I want that. Tell me what that is. I want to hear it. Um
I will share it with you. He's
yeah,
amazing.
I have a Joe Dispenza meditation from Breaking the Habit of Being Ourselves. He has a book called that, which has been seminal in my work. And then he has a meditation that goes along with that. It's 4 tracks. So the first 2 tracks are one meditation, and the second 2 tracks are the other meditation. And to combined, each one is like, this one's like, the first one's like an hour. They're each about an hour and 15. If you listen to all like the 2 in a row, that becomes an hour and 15. And it is powerful. I think it's actually changed my brain. I think it's made me more able of being open to possibility, and it's made my brain more elastic, and it's allowed me to be open to good in ways that I wasn't open to good. And I think it allowed me to be able to say yes to adventure in a way I wasn't able to say yes to adventure before. I was like Bilbo before he even gets on the adventure, where he's like, no, adventure makes one late for dinner, and get out of my house, you big giant wizard. I want nothing to do with you. And I think now I'm much more like Sam and Frodo, right? Where they're carrying the ring and they're like, we're gonna snuff out darkness and bring in more light.
So is that your message on what we do collectively, individually, with our intuition, with our inner energy, our inner calling for ourselves?
Say yes. Yeah, say yes to adventure. Say yes to the stuff that scares you. Because in all honesty, if you let fear stop you, right? If you're letting fear stop you, then you're not having the new things happen in your life. And you're not getting out there and you're not exploring and you're not learning. Like if you're going to say no to everything that scares you, right? You're going to stay in your little bubble in your own little thought world, and you're not going to be expanded and you're not going to grow. I've had so many experiences in the past 2, 3 months that have expanded my worldview, expanded how big I see the world and all of the possibilities. I would not have had the experiences that I had if I said no. In fact, I would not have had the experiences if I hadn't said yes to Kathy, because it was Kathy who introduced me to all the peoples that have changed my life. So, yeah, and being grateful and being in the meditation cushion. And the meditation cushion, I'll be honest, Kathy, being on the meditation cushion and fighting my brain and not into submission, but more like a wild horse, right? Changing that wild horse into a horse that like has a fantastic relationship with its owner. I
Ooh.
have I have really worked on pulling my brain together so that she and I work together now. And I recognize thoughts that are unhelpful way, way, way sooner now. I recognize panic thoughts way, 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 way sooner now. I haven't had a panic attack in like 2 years because I recognize the thoughts before they even really like blossom into a full blown panic attack.
So that sounds like the lesson for today of where we are and where we take this chaos, regardless of what side of the fence we're on.
Yeah.
Because it really does not matter whether we're for or against, we're in.
We're in.
We're in. And what are we going to
And
do with
and
the
I feel like Gandalf has just walked into my living room and said, "You need to go on an adventure." And I'm saying, "Not this one." Not this
But
one.
isn't that the challenge?
But of course I
Kim,
will.
isn't
How
that,
do you look at Gandalf and say no to him? I might say
I
no, but I
don't
don't really mean
know,
it.
I don't know who Gandalf is, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, he's from The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Sorry,
It's okay.
not my. The one dystopian that's been coming up for me is The Handmaid's Tale, which is written by a Canadian author and talks about how women's value is really only in their ability to be a human incubator. And um, and that if you're a female, that's your role. If you're a male, everything else is for you. And so even in that dystopian book, series, and show, there was still the rise of righteousness, of empowerment, of the chaos that all of those control, because it is trying to control the universal laws of masculine and feminine,
Mm-hmm.
of creation,
Mm-hmm.
of rhythm, of cause and effect. It's trying to control the uncontrollable that creates the mess. And so here we are
Here we
in a
are.
place of acceptance, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, I know what he said, but I also know he's a compulsive liar. So there's a part of me that's like, maybe it'll be okay. But I also know
But
that I have an unending sense of making myself feel good.
and that's not a bad thing, but regardless of how we feel about each individual effort, we have to come back to ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And we have to step into our own empowerment, because if our government is failing, if our education is failing, if our medical systems are failing, if every aspect of our world is failing, and I believe in a collective, I believe in what's happening in our world of technology and changes in AI and robotics and quantum physics, and the things that I've been learning in the quantum field lately are just mind blowing, and there's still more.
Oh yeah.
So what are we going to do with this? Are we going to roll over? Or, Kim, what is the name of your book that is about to be released?
Well, it's so funny you should ask. I don't have a copy. I have a copy of my cover. My book is about to be released. It'll be released on like the 20th of this month. I think it'll be on Amazon. But my
And
cover
what
is
is it
called,
called?
it's called Walking Courage, Trusting the Whispers of Your Intuition. Yeah, it's called Walking Courage.
Do you not think that this book, this message is on schedule? It's on time. It is on point. It is exactly what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, am I going to roll over? Like I said, I'm in the locker room at the moment. I might roll over for about 30 seconds, but that's about as long as I tend to give myself, right? I give myself only so long, and then I'm like, okay, you got to get up and you've got work to do.
So, what is the message of Walk in Courage? What is the big overriding message? Because people need to know how to walk in their own courage. They need to know how to step into their own intuition and seize this moment.
Yeah. So the big overall message is that your intuition exists, even if you think it doesn't. Everybody is intuitive. Everybody can hear from the collective, and everybody can hear from their source, whatever their source happens to be. And um, the proof of that is twins who know that something has happened on the other side of the world to their other twin. We've all heard that story about a mom who knew about her daughter, a dad who knew about their wife, a twin who knew about their twin, right? That connection, we all have the possibility of that connection. And we all have the possibility of rising up and learning our own intuition and then learning how to use our intuition to make the best possible decisions.
And that is exactly where I think we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
And
so here's
sometimes,
the other thing is that with AI, it takes the soul out of it, right?
yeah.
You can get all of the information you want at the click of your finger, but it is not alive. Whereas your intuition is what makes you separate from knowledge, because imagination and growth and encouragement and artistry and walking into your flow and your zen state, that is your intuition. Like when you like those people who are horse whisperers or car whisperers, they just know how to fix things. They like get in there and they do a thing and you're like, how did you do that? They're like, I don't know, I just did. Right. I make the joke that Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes are like on the same like playing field, football field, but they're also on the same intuition field. They know where the other person is at all time, and they know how to get the ball from one person to the other. They just are in sync with their brains, and they use them. And so when you are walking in your intuition, you are in that field with the flow, doing the thing that lights you up, and you make it look like it's magical. Like Simone Biles just makes that look easy, but there's no way my body can do that, right? She's in her intuition when she's doing that. She's in her flow.
Kim,
She's doing her thing.
Kim,
Yeah.
what if this absolute time of extreme polarity that we're in is us connecting our intuition because we live in a world of polarity?
Hmm.
Maybe we needed to be this polarized in order to sync.
I don't know, because I feel like when I'm synced, I let go of my stuff. In order to sync, I drop my garbage, right? Unlearn the crap. In order to sync, I have to like let go of what I hold really dear in order to embrace that which is bigger than me.
But
And that's a
what
daily
if this
practice.
but what if this is what we're doing? What if we needed this polarity to create alignment collectively? The magnets needed to come to their absolute
Absolute.
extreme so they could line up.
Well, I will say, whatever happens, it's going to be one wild ride.
Yeah. Yes,
right?
it is.
It's gonna be a wild ride. It may not. So I am not a roller coaster girl. I decided when I was in chemotherapy, I was done with roller coasters. But then I learned that there are some roller coasters that are fun, and then there are some roller coasters that have crossed over fun into not fun. Right? Like there's a line between the two. and and I have to say I'm of the mind that I am standing in line for one of those roller coasters that's going to be beyond stretching.
I think we're all in that line.
And I
I
can't get
think
out of
we're all in that together.
it. Yeah.
There is crap happening and we are all facing it.
Yep.
Everything is being challenged. Our old patterns are coming to light.
They don't work. Our old patterns don't work.
No. And nobody said that the process was going to be painless.
I don't There's a moment where I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody I was interviewing the other day, and she said it is that moment where we say, I don't want to do this anymore. I give up.
Yep.
That's the moment of surrender. That's the
Mhm.
moment of acceptance. And that's the moment we transition
Yes.
into our power.
Yes. So there was a moment when I was in treatment. I was like dose number 6 or dose number 7, maybe 5. I had 8 doses and I think I had just finished 5 and I still had 6, 7, and 8 to go. And I didn't see how I could do it. And I told my mom, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing any more. You can't you can't get me to go back and take another 3 or 2, however many more it was. And she was like, yeah, I can. We're not done yet. We're still in the middle of it. We're not giving up. And I was like, we have to. And she's like, no, we don't. We don't have to. We can keep going. And you're right. I will tell you the best thing, the worst thing, the best thing in my life was surviving Hodgkin's. Worst, best thing in my life.
And isn't that what we all think about our worst moments in our life?
Yeah.
They're transformative.
Yeah. And this might
Yeah.
be the best, worst thing that has ever happened to the United States
Or us individually.
or us individually.
Kim, thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
I I felt in alignment with you the moment I met, and for anyone who's watching you and is feeling aligned to you,
Mm.
how can they reach you?
Yeah, reach out. Info@kimbeam.com is my email. I'm at kimbeam.com is my website. My book is on pre-order right now, but will be available on Amazon starting, I think, the 20th of November. And what is really great about this book, let me just share this to you again. What's really great about this is I give you 7. I give you 7 meditations in here about how to ground and how to drop fear and how to there's a whole bunch of them. There's like, and they go along in line with the topics of the chapters. And I give you what I do. I talk you through how to do those things. So
Yeah.
that's one of my free
I'm
gifts. Another one of my
I'm
gifts is
reading your book and loving the way you are speaking collectively and individually through channeling and through your own voice. And I want to thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, and thank you so much for your vulnerability And thank you for everything you bring to the world, because we are being called. And now I'm speaking to those who are watching. You're being called. The world is reaching for each and every one of us to step into our intuition now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Kim is here to help guide you. Unlearn the crap and unlearn the crap community. I'm here to help guide you. We are not meant to go this alone. And there is a calling for each and every one of us to rise up, to level up, to step into our gifts, to bring the most humanness of our world together. And some of it's going to be good and some of it's going to hurt like hell.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of the birthing process. And we are in the process of birthing a new world and a new us. And this is the worst of times and the best of times, to quote whoever wrote that in their book.
Charles Dickens in The
Charles
Tale of Two
Dickens.
Cities, but I never say it that way. I always say it backwards, so be glad I said it the correct way.
Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this conversation. Let's unlearn our crap that's in the way. Let's walk in courage and rise up to a new world. I'll see you on the next episode of Unlearn the Crap. Remember, challenge everything so you can achieve anything.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.